introduce Noah. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Very good. What do you, before we get into what you actually do, oh yes, we're supposed to, look, Noah, you're a research manager at DICE. We'll ask you in a little bit what that means.
Yeah.
What do you know about hamsters?
I don't really know too much about hamsters, if I'm being honest. I know that when I was a kid, I wanted a ferret as a pet.
Ferrets are cool.
So that's, I think, like the closest like hamster adjacent thing.
Did you get a ferret?
No, my parents, no.
Your parents made a very wise decision. But as an adult now, you have the ability to go and get a pet ferret.
I do.
Have you considered it?
I thought about it. I mean, I got a dog like about 7 years ago. I don't know how dogs and ferrets like
Please
mix.
say that your dog is called Ferret.
He's not. He's not.
Okay. That would have been cool.
Maybe for my next dog. I'll keep that
for your
in
next
mind.
dog. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Then you can combine those two things. So, all right. Now, I know that your job isn't to talk about hamsters and ferrets, even though we could probably talk about ferrets for a little bit. Yeah. Just explain what you do here at DICE.
Yeah, so I'm a research manager. I'm on the research and insights team. And I think the simplest way to put it is that our team helps support other teams within the organization to do their jobs better, in a sense that we provide information on our customers, our users, the market, our competitors, things like that, so that our teams that we collaborate can make more informed decisions for the strategies that they do.
That makes sense. Okay. And then, as a child, it sounds like you were in love with ferrets. What pushed you from maybe pursuing a career full-time with ferrets into a research position?
Yeah, man, that's a long story. But I think like what kind of got me into this is that, I started more in a traditional marketing background. And I knew that I wanted to kind of work a little bit more with data, a little bit more with strategy. And that kind of pushed me more towards like grad school. And that's kind of where I started at first, with like marketing analytics, coding, things of that nature. But in my grad school program, we actually had like a few courses that were focused on like human psychology, consumer behavior, research, experimentation. And then that's when I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So it kind of combines a little bit of everything, of me wanting to work with numbers, my own personal interests of liking to learn how people think, why they make the decisions that they make, their preferences, things like that. And that's kind of what brought me where I am today.
Okay, awesome. So this is helpful because we do talk a little bit on the stream here about the psychology of humans and why we heart humans, which is coming up. So it sounds like you know a little bit about that. So we'll touch on that a little bit as well. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to talk on this section about our tech sentiment report. What is the Tech Sentiment Report and what's it for?
Yeah, so the Tech Sentiment Report is a study that we run annually, and it's really just to kind of give anyone who is in kind of like the tech job industry a beat on what the sentiment is around tech professionals. And I think what a cool thing that we do with this particular report is that we also add the perspective of those who are in HR and recruit tech professionals as well. So we get a little bit of both sides of the tech professionals who work within it, and then the human resource professionals that are recruiting these.
Focused on technology recruiting. Fair enough. Yeah. Is there any questions about hamsters?
How long do they live?
I do know this. Hamsters live between 2 and 3 years.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's good. I didn't get one when I was a kid. I would have been heartbroken.
Or your parents would be very pleased because it's like come and go. Okay. Fair enough. All right. And then in the tech report, is there any information or data about hamsters?
Sadly, there's not.
No,
maybe next year, 2025. Yeah.
We can introduce a little bit more
we'll
in
pop
there.
That in there.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at some slides. This is not the full report. If I wanted to see the full report, where would I go and find it?
Yeah, so you can go on the DICE site to find the report in its entirety. But like as you were saying, we're going to go through at least over, I would say, the key points here that were featured in the report. So here, we're kind of starting off and just at least what's been going on over this last year. And really, in short, what we're able to see is that tech professionals are really kind of feeling the pressure of the tight job market in 2024. In 2024, we saw a 45% increase in job loss amongst tech professionals. And while this was hitting these tech professionals pretty pretty harshly, it was also hitting the tech industry disproportionately as it relates to other industries. So we see that there were more tech professionals in the tech industry that lost jobs in 2024 at 19%, as opposed to 11% of tech professionals in other industries.
Yeah. So I mean, I think what people feel out in the market, which is you hear a lot of anecdotal stories about, I've applied for 100 jobs and not heard anything, and it's hard to find an opportunity. This is kind of just backing that up with some data here, which is,
Exactly.
it is a tighter market on the, if you're looking for a job. And then this is obviously focused from the tech professional side. Did you get any insights from tech recruiters? What's the impact on tech recruiters? Because obviously there's a contraction here.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, from the tech professional side, what you'll see in the tech sentiment report is that it's a little bit more of a pessimistic view from the workers themselves. But HR professionals in the tech industry, they're a bit more optimistic for where the job market's going. They're reporting that there'll be more hiring towards the latter part of the year, and hoping that they'll roll into 2025 as well.
Okay, all right. Let's have a look at the next one. This has got, now see what I can do with this one. Let me show you here. If I put on my red glasses, I can no longer see any of the data in red.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is not helpful.
I need to get me one of those.
You can try those. Look,
well,
Dave left his. Yeah, just give him a go.
I'm pretty much blind without my glasses.
I wouldn't. Then don't put them on. That's just going to make them even worse. All right. All right. So, despite hesitation, people are still looking for jobs.
Yeah, exactly. So, so earlier we saw that, tech professionals are really starting to feel like that squeeze from this tight job market. And we see, again, as I, speaking to earlier, there's a bit of pessimism from these tech professionals as it relates to the status of the job market. So we see that only 4 in 10 of tech professionals, they, feel confident in finding a new role that'll meet their expectations. And that can be anywhere from the responsibilities of that particular new role that they're looking for, if they'll be qualified for it, salary expectations, if it'll be in the right working environment, things like that. So only 4 in 10. We would like to see that number be up a little bit higher to kind of reflect a more optimistic market for these tech professionals. But despite that, nope, they're still out there. They're still out there looking for jobs. So even though there might be some pessimism or hesitation from them, they're still active out there looking for roles. It's not here on these slides, but there is a data point from the tech sentiment report that of those who lost a job in 2024, about 80% of them immediately started looking for a new role. So I think, again, kind of going back to what we have from the perspective of HR professionals, what at least that shows to them is that it's at least a very active candidate pool for them. So hopefully that'll be good for them as they're continuing to look for candidates to fill out these roles. Yeah,
we're definitely seeing that. I think the other thing that this might lead to, which we are also anecdotally hearing, is that given that people are proactively looking for jobs, but they have less confidence they're going to find the perfect job, they may be applying for a wider variety of roles. Yeah. So, at that point there, the burden then comes back a little bit on tech recruiters to do some of that filtering to get back to which of the individuals applying, which are actually most suitable. Because I think broadening your net and casting it wide is probably a good thing. I do think, though, companies are still looking for specific skills. So you got to sort of bear that in mind when you apply for a ton of jobs here.
Definitely.
And then on the right-hand side here, you've done some research here on which areas are likely to see growth over the next 5 years. Anything surprising here, or is this kind of in line with what you were expecting?
I would say it's pretty in line, particularly with the top 2 answer options of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cybersecurity. So really not too surprising that tech professionals feel that over the next 5 years, they feel like the biggest growth area is going to be in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Over the last year or so, AI has been the hot word, the buzzword.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of optimism in this particular area. People are trying to upskill themselves in the skills that are, needed to be a machine learning engineer, anything of that nature, engineer. So being able to see that. And then from the cybersecurity standpoint, as AI continues to become more prominent, there have also been some concerns about security of personal data, company data, things like that. There's been some notable breaches with with certain companies with their data being violated.
Yep.
So, those in this particular space of cybersecurity, that looks to be another area of opportunity for those to kind of up their skill in this area or find good roles in this particular field.
Do the technologists who are helping complete their sentiment report get to fill in these tech areas? The reason I ask is I'm fascinated by digital twins. Is that what
digital twins? Help me out with
down
that.
the bottom there. Look, see, digital twins.
Oh, digital twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that one is interesting there. Yeah,
you know what that is? Let me tell you what that is. I don't. By the way, I'm guessing on this. I don't know. Here's why digital twins has become important to technologists is because as more companies, and there was a big announcement from Amazon asking their employees to come back into the office 5 days a week. People are looking for solutions, and if you could get a digital twin in the office and then you can control them remotely, that sounds perfect. So maybe that's what
I need a digital twin.
Yeah, we all do. I mean, think we could be in two places at once, then it'd be excellent. So, and then what's notably absent from this, which I think is interesting over the last few years, although there is augmented reality is on there, wearables, there's no mention of metaverse on here.
There's not.
That was the hot thing.
Yeah, it seems like they're scaling back on that a little bit.
I think that's because you should go and do some research in the metaverse on the metaverse. That's because there's the 4 people using it are in there. That's why you didn't get any responses from that. All right, let's look at the next one. Feelings of industry and economic optimism is mixed.
Yeah, so for this one, I'll go a little bit out of order. So we'll kind of start on that graph on the right-hand side. So we asked respondents, thinking about next year, what is their overall confidence level surrounding economic conditions? And, we did a comparison and we asked this question last year. So you see a little bit of those results and what the distribution is in 2023 as it relates to 2024. And really, there's not too much of a difference there. So, those top 2 red boxes are those who are either very optimistic or, pretty optimistic.
Yep.
And, those sentiments have stayed pretty much the same year over year. So, at least while you would want to see improvement from that, it's at least telling us in the short term, not really too much of the sentiment has changed. And I would say there could be, I'd like to think I'm an optimistic type of person. I think that's good considering that this is an election year as well. And there could be some potential volatility depending on what the results of that election could turn out and how that might impact economic conditions. So we'll just see how that kind of nets out going forward. But then on that second bullet, so we see that despite concerns of finding a new role, we kind of spoke to this in the last slide, 67% of tech professionals are still considering a job change. So this still kind of goes back into that idea that, very active candidate pool, whether it's people who recently lost a job and they're actively searching, or for those who are currently employed and they're still considering making a change, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I think we are in the middle of a series on kind of that job search from beginning to end, and the last sections we've been covering are profiles, and I think this does reinforce the fact that people are invested in keeping their profiles up to date, and that there is continued value in being proactive and reaching out to passive candidates and not just assuming that you're going to fill your jobs with active applies there. Yeah. Because if the numbers are true, you are going to have constructive conversations with people around roles that they find, because there is a large number of technologists who are open to those conversations. So,
exactly.
Yeah. And it's interesting, as you said, that the shift is very, very small, between years. If you went back a couple of years, do we have data that shows that people are getting more pessimistic more than just the shift this year? Or is this pretty much how it is? There's a group of optimistic technologists, a bunch of people in the middle, and then some Eeyores at the bottom.
That's good. I need to start saying that. I need to look back to confirm that, but I know it's happened at least as of late, partly due to the layoffs and like the tight job market, and particularly in the tech industry. But I mean, I'd be willing to guess if we looked at this like back at 2020, 2021 or so, I'm sure there was a bit more optimism since
Yeah,
with the
yeah, yeah.
boom in
When,
jobs and things
yep,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. All right, this one has little people on it. This chart coming up, and if I put my glasses on again, I can only see the one in grey.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, what does this say?
Yeah, so we're talking about remote work. I mean, whether some people may like it or not, remote work is still relevant. I know that, there's been some talk online lately about whether the remote work era is ending. And
Yep.
then you obviously had the news with Amazon having that 5-day mandate for their employees to return to office full time and everything like that. But we're seeing here, as you can see in the first bullet, nearly 9 in 10 tech professionals said remote work is important when evaluating new job opportunities. So that is still something that's, very important for, HR professionals to keep in mind as they're trying to recruit tech professionals, even if, they may have a work policy to where it's either hybrid or fully in office or anything like that, that there could be some friction, between that and between what tech professionals are wanting. So it's something that they need to kind of keep their eyes on. And, I would say from the HR side, put a little bit more effort from wanting to retain those employees, knowing that they might not be satisfying their needs.
Did you get any and this is probably a lot of questions to technologists about how they're feeling around remote work. Did we look at what the tech recruiter side of that is? Do we know if it's harder to hire if you don't have some degree of hybrid or flexibility in the roles?
Yeah, there has been some challenges, at least reportedly in the tech seminar report from HR professionals for getting tech professionals that do have these strong preferences, whether it might be work environment,
Yep.
salary expectations, things of that nature. And then there's also some challenges from retaining them as well. So that is something that, as it looks like we're trending more to, hybrid models or fully in office models becoming, again, more of the norm, that friction is going to stay there.
Yep.
So, it's definitely something that needs to kind of be figured out moving forward.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift as a technology manager because, and I've lived through a couple waves of this, but there certainly was geographic constraints around resource when you needed people to come into an office, right? You're looking at a smaller pool of candidates in a geo area. When you start to take that away and become more hybrid or remote, it opens up a much larger area to hire from. But it also has an effect of providing some level of salary increase, because now you're competing with companies across the entire US for the same talent. As things contract back, I wonder whether, again, companies are going to find themselves with a more constrained pool of resource because they are looking geographically. And then companies who are outside of that, whether there'll be a little bit of flexibility there on compensation, which I think is good in terms of scaling businesses and employing technologists, but probably poorer for technologists because there's way less leverage around salary then. Yeah. And you start getting back into the wonders of geo cost of living reports to figure out what you're paying people where they live, which has for a time went away, to be honest. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So technologists, I think this is a pretty clear message on that last one, that they still really want to have some remote work in their environments. So, and then let's talk about burnout. On the last one, it said, the last slide, that technologists reported a higher level of burnout if they were in the office. You could argue that's because they're not working as hard when they're out of the office, but let's talk about this here a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you were speaking to last slide, it was showing that, those who work more in office are going to experience a little bit more of that burnout at higher levels than those who at least have a couple of days to work from home. And we see that, 31% of tech professionals are saying that they experience burnout to some level. So, now it's kind of now adding that extra layer into it, right? So it's like, okay, if we're now having more of these mandates to bring people into the office more, now it's, okay, what are we doing to kind of help alleviate some of that burnout? What are we doing to help retain our employees? We don't want them just working here for 3 to 5 to 6 years, and
Yep.
then they're burnt out, and then they go switch over to another
Yep.
company.
Yep.
So
Yep.
again, I think that puts a little bit more of the onus on HR professionals, organizations as a whole, to kind of up their strategies to, you know, better help out the employees.
Yeah, and burnout has been one of those things where, you know, a lot of engineering and technology jobs sit within that fuzzy world of program and project delivery. And there's always been this triangle of constraint around how much time you have, how much resource you're providing, and then what the quality that you have to deliver. And it's been an ongoing sort of management issue and team issue in engineering, and it's unlikely to change. When there's a hard deadline and you're a bit resource constrained, teams are going to feel the pressure to deliver. And I think that is where the culture of the organization helps support teams. It's okay to work hard. It's the support that's provided around the outside. No one wants to work in an organization that is feels like it's working hard for no reason, and not getting the recognition that teams deserve for hard deliveries. So that's been an ongoing issue. I think that there's this balance of, again, general tech sentiment in terms of, is it easy for me to find another role? And then IT management are balancing constantly how much pressure do you put on teams to deliver with the environment you're operating in. So unfortunately, for organizations and for teams, I think as we continue to see a softer market, there's likely to be a little bit more risk taken on the management side to push teams harder.
And I mean, I think the key thing that you said there was like kind of talking to that idea of the support that the employees are able to feel from their organizations. And really, and, you know, I know we, you know, talk about the idea of remote work a lot, but I would say all in all, it's really just technologists feel like they're not being heard. So once they kind of got the taste of that remote work and how that impacted their work-life balance, you know, closer to, you know, COVID era, a little bit past COVID in 2021, they felt those benefits they were able to get from that. They got the taste, and then it was kind of taken away from them.
Yes, that's right.
So it's like they don't feel heard, they don't feel supported, and which adds to that pressure, that burnout, everything like that.
Yeah, and you know, while it's not significant, the change on the right-hand side here, you know, it is decreasing, right? I think I'm reading this right, which is that there's less people feeling better about the pressure they're feeling, and we're starting to see a little bit more in that same bucket, and one tiny pip up in it's worse, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are, you know, tech professionals that are stating, you know, less tech professionals that are stating that they have a better work-life balance this year as opposed to last year. So not the hugest change from that 37 to 30%, but still notable, still something to keep an eye on. And I'm very interested to see how this will look in the next year when, you know, if bigger companies will follow suit with Amazon and start requiring their employees to come into office 100% full time. So we'll see how that might impact some of this sentiment.
Do you think you know, big tech was always known for providing amazing in-office facilities, and it was part of the reason why employees like working there, right? You get a free bus there, you get free food. Some companies had free laundry. I mean, all sorts of things. Gym on site, pet care, all this stuff, right? Cooking classes. I mean, everything really. There was a pullback in some of those sort of facilities in the office as companies bring people back. Do you think that those larger tech companies are going to have to find ways to reinstate some of those services to try and put a little bit of balance back in again?
I think it's more about they need to figure out what the right benefits that will resonate with their employees will be, because I feel like once we got a little bit, you know, once tech professionals got a little bit of the taste of the remote work life, the curtain was peeled back a little bit of like, okay, maybe I don't need a pool at my office. Maybe I don't need to have all these amenities to where I feel like I can live at where I work. And I'd prefer to have benefits that help my actual real life at home life and everything like that. So, you know, I think that should be maybe more of the focus should be on, as opposed to more of the glitz and glam.
Fair enough. Okay, a couple of last questions then. Anything that you saw from the data that was a surprise this year, or does it feel like we're still working through kind of a status quo period?
Not really too many surprises. I mean, again, it's always interesting to see. I mean, I think one of the things I would want to call out that I spoke to a little bit earlier is just like the mixed sentiment from the HR professionals as it relates to the working tech professionals. So the HR professionals being a bit more optimistic, stating that they believe that there will be more hiring in the latter part of 2024, and then tech professionals feeling a bit, more pessimistic in the short term.
Yep.
So they feel good about the overall like long-term trajectory of the tech industry, but they're not feeling too great about maybe where these next 6 to 12 months are going to go.
Yep.
So I was interested I was surprised to see that. And I'm very interested to see how the actual results will net out.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. And then my next question is nothing to do with the tech sentiment report and more to do with my hamster game. That we're making. Yeah. So if you have been following along, we asked AI to produce a brief. We've had a hamster game made, which we can play. We're going to demo in it a little bit. Okay. If you were going to close your eyes and think about playing Hamster Heroics Battle for the Borough, what do you see? What do you see in the game? And then we'll add this to the next iteration of our game. What sort of game is it? What can you see there?
I'd like to think I'm a little bit of a gamer. So I think of like maybe like a third person
perspective. Yeah.
Third person perspective RPG type of game. Maybe some fantasy in there a little bit. Okay. Where I would imagine the hamster is the main character.
All right. Fair enough.
And that, so yeah, I don't know.
Now, as a little bit of a gamer, I made the arbitrary decision of putting the price at $22.19 last stream because that's how much you could buy a hamster for. Would that be a price that you'd be like, I'm willing to try it, or does it need to be lower?
I think that's pretty good considering games are really expensive now.
Okay, all right.
I think that's a pretty good price.
Were we going to plan on giving it away for free?
Even better.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's all very validating. So hopefully you'll get to hang around and see the game in real life at the end when we did the demo.
I would love to see that.
And then, the tech sentiment report's available. We've got the link up there. Please read through that. If you've got comments, let us know. How might people participate next year in the sentiment report? Do we send that out to the DICE as a community to help fill that in?
Yeah, so we do send it to our DICE community, particularly on the tech professional side. Okay. So if you want to provide your voice, provide your sentiment on the tech industry, how your career has been going, where you believe the economic outlook is going, then make sure you register and sign up with DICE.
All right, and then maybe, Noah, next time when you're about to send the link out, come back onto the stream here.
That'd be great.
Maybe we'll walk through it together. I'll fill it out with you, and then we can use that to show people how what to do.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome.